Mitrom and Bandhvam, this is Dr. J. Reddy, your presenter at South Asia Maps. South Asia Maps is an intellectual Kshatriya channel that brings South Asia related topics to the audience in the form of icons, maps and images. That is, the abstract ideas are brought into iconographic form for the easy understanding, appreciation of the audience. But once a while, I will also be posting some other related topics. So I have opened a play channel for you at my YouTube channel, a playlist called Human Ecology, where I will give you the perspective of what is happening to humanity today beyond the normal political social discourses. The basic concepts essentially come from the monumental work from Dr. William Catton Jr. from his two books, Overshoot and BottleNeck, and I have created these icons to represent some of the topics he talks about. So you can look at the human ecology, predicament, and Overshoot, bottleneck, and human impasse. In the part 24 today, we are talking about a very fascinating subject, diachronic competition. That is stealing from our future generations. This is a very, very important concept. You have to understand it. And stealing from future generations. So let's say I have put 1825. Each bar represents 25 years. 25 years is just like a generation. One generation, next generation. Here this icon essentially shows these generations. They competed with their posterity, children, that they were not present at that time. They were not synchronic competitions in general. So if you go for any job or if any education position, you compete with the people of your same age. That is not diachronic, that is synchronic. Whereas here the competition is occurring between the generations, their children. That is called stealing from future generations. Essentially, this generation stole all the resources, depleted the resources. Most important resources we are talking about, fossil fuel resources. This generation, the older generation of that time, stole it from this generation's younger or forthcoming generation. I put 2050 here. They did it purposefully or intentionally. That was it happens. They were not aware of it. So it's a very important concept we talk about. So it's Dr. Catton's book Overshoot and other book Bottleneck. He was the Professor Emeritus, Washington State University, Pullman, in the Northwest Pacific region of the United States, east of Cascade Mountains in the Washington State, south of 49th parallel that separates Canada and United States. And his two monumental books, these two. And this is my educational channel, South Asia Maps, and there are more than 200 or so meticulously made videos, and if you are not aware, you can look at them. And if you like the presentations, please do subscribe and bring it to the notice of your friends. Because it is an ecological topic, I will put it in this particular playlist I called Human Ecology, or some related one, human populations. There are 18 already I posted. You can look at them. That is about diachronic competition. Generation, that means biologically zygote. When the couple are married, they conceive a child. Cells, male gamete, female gamete, form a zygote. From that zygote to the next zygote, again their children get married and they conceive a child. That is an average 25 years for humans. Of course, the number is years is not sacrosanct, but that is generally taken. 1800 there was 1 billion people, 1825, 1850 and so on. There are so many generations. So the diachronic chronology is a time, right? We are moving from 1800 to 100. Diachronic is a antonym for synchronic, means same time. That means this time 1800 they compete for their food and resources, so on, with their competitors, they see them. Whereas now, how they competed with their the generation that is going to come 100, 200, 300 years later, that's called diachronic competition. That is called stealing from the future generations. The concept is very, very important. That means the relation between these two generations is essentially competitive, called stealing from posterity. Because this happened due to fossil fuels. When the fossil fuels were discovered, human beings start drawing down these fossil fuels. These are oblivious of what they are making to the next generations. They made themselves humongous, that is Homo colossus, consuming a lot of resources. An average 80 kilogram human today travels in 3,000 or 4,000 kilogram. A vehicle, the car, air conditioned, centrally heated and so on. So that is a vast number of resources. This is called Homo colossus, that is gigantic humans when compared to their cousins Homo sapiens, normal subsistence humans. So the carrying capacity, now they are enjoying the phantom carrying capacity occurs because of drawing down the resources, that is essentially fossil fuels, when compared to taking over the land and living a normal agriculture style. Carrying capacity, that is the real CCP, I call it phantom carrying capacity. Today we are enjoying phantom carrying capacity by drawing down the resources, making a supplements to the normal carrying capacity. That means essentially they have become an antagonist, unwittingly unaware of, to the succeeding generation. That means these generations deprived of very good quality, the coal, minerals, metals, oil, natural gas. This generation will have little of them, or later they will have none of them. So how they will survive, their living standards, their normal lives will be very, very tough. That is called diachronic competition. That means the older generation stealing from the posterity, younger generation. This happened 1800, steam engine was invented and humans become Homo colossus, high energy way of life. They deprived the resources, drilled them, depleted the minerals and metals since steam engine invention in 1800. That's what is here. They essentially become detritivore. Detritus is a fossil fuel, the decaying dead organic matter, because coal, natural gas, oil were once organisms like plants and other microbes. They were buried and cooked and high pressure and temperature and converted. So essentially detritivore. Today's human being, Homo colossus, is living and eating the detritivore fossil fuel. That is essentially industrial agriculture. Industrial agriculture means you produce the urea, spray them on the land, produce the pesticides, fertilizers, and manufacture the tractors, the combiners, harvesters. A family can grow such amount of food that can feed, let's say, 5,000, 10,000 people in a very doing this industrial agriculture. That's what it is. In the World War I, after that there is a stock crash in the United States, then FDR, Roosevelt time, the approach, then the World War victorious allies, they invented the new economics, Keynesian theory, economic theory. What is ecologically happening? They give a political, economic ideologies that they are not aware of what is happening ecologically. That's what Dr. Catton talks about. Wartime is called pump priming. improving the economy, large-scale industrialization, because United States at that time has a plenty of oil, plenty of coal that are easily available. After World War II, this prosperity decrease called ecological exuberance fallen, that is the social political exuberance due to depleted resources. Exuberance ended practically after World War, when after the pass away of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Even though the economists, they were not aware of ecological principles due to cultural lag, they are trying to revive that era by printing the money that out of nothing, fiat currency or digital currency. Essentially, we are printing the money means the later generations has to pay with interest. That is also diachronic competition, stealing from the future generations. So he talked about the Weimar Republic and composite carrying capacity. World War II afterwards, growing national debt, fictitious accountancy, the borrowing money in the treasuries and from the central banks they created, and people think it's about the money, but it's nothing to do with the money. It's about the resources to produce the food, shelter and cars and other things humans consume today. This pretension of borrowing from the out ourselves, but they were not borrowing. When you run the deficit budget, we think we are borrowing ourselves. No, you are borrowing from the future generations who has to pay with interest. That is in the economic terms, but in ecological terms with depleted resources and so on. That is intergenerational larceny, stealing from the future generations. This is an ecological concept, is very, very important. Today's generation, they can't see like a good rivers or lakes or creeks. A lot of flora and fauna were already destroyed or depleted. In a sense, they cannot see a good habitat also. We are living in 8 billion people on the planet Earth. They are not even aware, because when we look and start living the industrial lifestyle conditioned from the childhood, you think this is what it is. But that's why the ecological history is very important. That's what affects us. That's what Catton brings, a very deeper, fascinating perspective of the current world paradigm of political, social ideologies. He overlays with the ecological perspective, this ecological paradigm. Once you start looking at that and start talking about like taking over, drawing down Homo sapiens, Homo colossus, and synchronic competition and diachronic competition, carrying capacity, phantom carrying capacity, ecological exuberance, leading to social exuberance in America during the World War time, political exuberance and the crash, and exuberance has gone. Now we are facing a serious human predicament with depleted resources on the planet Earth and 8 billion human population facing the BottleNeck century in the impasse time. That is what is very important Dr. Catton talks about. And diachronic competition is the concept I introduced you, and thank you very much joining me today. This is your presenter J. Reddy, and if you like the presentations, the style and the content, please do consider subscribing my channel and bringing to your friends and putting your comments. See you later. Mitrom and Bandhuvam, friends in other presentation.